Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of a WOWSA Live with our host, Ned Denison.
Hello, everyone. I'm the chairperson of the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. We have a very special guest honoree, Régent Lacoursière, honor swimmer from Canada, class of 1978. Régent, please say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody?
We're doing good. I'm gonna read his biography because I never trust people like Régent to give us the full scope of what he's done. He won a major, which was the 1960 Lac Saint-Jean swim. We'll come back to the significance of that. He placed 5th in the 22-mile Atlantic City professional race in his first marathon swim as a 20-year-old. He continued his marathon career until 1975, so a long time. In 1959, he won the 42-kilometer swim in Guaymas, Mexico, in 8 hours and 22 minutes. He completed 15 consecutive crossings of Lake Saint Jean from 1958 to 1975, unbelievable. Won the Three Rivers Marathon swim in Quebec in 1959, 1960, and 1964. And he was first in this famous 24-hour Le Touc two-person relay in 1965, 1966, and 1967. He won the 10-mile Northumberland Straits in 1963, the 10-mile Lake Ontario, 1965, the 32-mile Mar de la Plata in Argentina in 1966. Was second in the 14-mile Rhode Island Marathon. And he also completed the 1965 Capri-Naples professional marathon swims. For those of you who aren't aware, there were a few capitals of marathon swimming over the years. We've talked at great lengths about the great Egyptians. We've talked at great length about the swimmers from Toronto. Régent is perhaps the finest, the Quebecois swimmers from Quebec, Canada, where really for a lot of reasons this became one of the centers of marathon swimming in the world. So Régent, tell us a little bit about your swimming career before you started marathon swimming.
Oh, well, I competed in the 1954 Commonwealth Game in Vancouver. So from there, I decided to turn professional. I saw an article in the newspaper where this fellow had won the Atlantic City swim. So I decided to enroll and turn pro. And that's where my career started.
Fantastic. And had you been following things like the Canadian National Exhibition as a child?
No, not necessarily. The Canadian National Exhibition was more or less introduced to me by Cliff Lumsden, which he was a professional distance swimmer and a very well-known long distance swimming champ. He won several of the swims in the Toronto CNE front. I remember he was one of the only ones to finish the 32-mile swim one year, which the water temperature was like 58 degrees, and that is cold. Lake Saint John was known for that too. The crossing Lake Saint John, the first time I did it, I said, I'll never go back there. It was too cold. After the Atlantic City swim, because Atlantic City, it's a 26-mile around Hepsican Island, and that water is more or less in the 70s. So, and when you get into the Back Bay, it was warmer. So I appreciated that.
So tell us about your first time in Atlantic City. You were with Canadian superstars Tom Park, Cliff Lumsden, and we also had Steve Wozniak from Buffalo. They finished 1, 2, and 3. Tell us about your experience. Had you met these guys before? Were you battling them in the water and having a beer afterwards? Well, just tell us about it.
I had never met them before. That was my first time. And when a new swimmer or athlete comes into the circuit, I'm sort of green at it. So they were telling me all kinds of stories. Well, you got to do this, you got to do that, and be careful of the sharks, and try to spook you out, more or less, because they saw a young guy coming up, So for the first year to come in the top 5, that was pretty good, And then I sort of got respect from my seniors, because they were a little older than me. And then Cliff Lumsden, I became very, very friendly with Cliff, and he sort of took me under his wing and taught me, different things on what I should do and what I shouldn't do. And he was very helpful.
We don't have a lot of history of you for the next 3 years. Were you still swimming, or did you take a break?
No, I didn't take no break. I didn't miss any year. Atlantic City, okay. I did, let me see, how many? 11?
A lot.
I think it's 11. I did 11 years in a row. And the last year, I came in second. That was the last one.
Of the famous ones. They've restarted it now, but it'll never capture the glamour it had back in the days when you were doing it. Oh my
gosh, we had in Atlantic City. I remember leaving from the convention hall, all these beautiful Cadillacs, convertibles, with the runner-ups of the Miss America pageants, all one beside each of us, going down the boardwalk, waving at the people. It was awesome. And we would go from the convention hall to Hackney's Restaurant, which was a famous landmark in Atlantic City. And Mr. Trump was also there because he owned the Miss America pageant. And that's why we would go from the convention hall all the way to Hackney's Restaurant. It was awesome.
We had an interview with Herman Wilmsy maybe last year.
Oh, Herman, the Flying Dutchman.
And he said he won the event, and they put two gorgeous women on either side of him, and there was a giant trophy, and he didn't know what he was supposed to do with his arms.
That's right. Yes, that's true. The trophy must have been about 7 or 8 feet tall. It was a huge trophy. Yeah, I remember that.
So you won the incredible Lake Saint Jean swim in 1960. You were 25 years old. It was certainly the biggest swim in Quebec, possibly the biggest swim in Canada, and possibly the biggest swim in the world. Tell us about the race itself while you're in the water, and then we'll talk about afterwards.
Well, we've had, the crossing of Lake Saint John. We would leave from Peribonka, and the crossing was to finish at Roberval. And the year I won it, I was friendly with the Indian reservation, the Indians. So the guides picked me up at Point Bleu, which directed me right into Roberval. And I had a lot of Indians around me in canoes and bringing me right into Roberval. So much so that they named me Honorary Chief of Point Bleu, which they gave me the name of Pigwagami Yuchuk, means the otter of Lake Saint John. And they never named another honorary president, honorary chief of their tribe.
No honor beaver or muskrat or anything. It was just the otter. You got the only one.
Yeah, but the only honorary chief, because politicians, a lot of the prime ministers would like to have that honor, and they couldn't get it. They said we have one, and that's it.
Fantastic.
And even today, the Lake Saint John is the oldest marathon in the world right now. It's still existing. I think there's 62 or 63 years that it's in the making.
So after the swim,
yes,
Quebec swimmer, Lake Saint Jean, the winner, big crowd of holidaymakers. Yeah. Well, tell us about the night, and then did it change your life?
Oh, it definitely changed my life, because my dream was to eventually win a world title and then open up a swim school. Because, I saw a possibility of going into that field later on when I would to hang up my trunks, And I realized that there was a good future there. And the crowds, oh my gosh, the crowds were just hysterical. It was awesome for a Quebecer to win that event. And if I remember that year, it was Carlos Larriera from Argentina.
Yeah, he was second.
Yeah, Carlos. And then there was George Mazadra. Geez, my memory's coming back pretty good. Yeah. So it was a real tight swim. I think Steve also was in that swim. Steve Wozniak, Cliff. I don't know if Cliff and Tom. Yeah, Tom Parks. Yeah. And
was that the moment of your career?
It's one of the moments, because before that, I had won the Guaymas Sonora, Mexico swim. And the story about that one is that you start at midnight. I had never swam at night I couldn't focus myself and say, whoa, I'm going to jump into that ocean at midnight. But I did it. And the fellow that was supposed to win was, what's his name?
What country?
From Mexico.
Steve?
Mexico. It'll come to me.
Guillermo Zavala. No?
No. I got a blank there. Let's go. Let's keep going. Anyway, that swim, this fellow was supposed to win it. And he got sick. And he was sick in the water. And apparently a fish bit his hand, and he had to give up. And I went up close. I caught up to him, and I was having trouble with my nose because of the salt water. So he had a nose clip, and I asked him for his nose clip. That's the first time I wore a nose clip. I had never worn a nose clip in my life. So, and I put it on, and I didn't take it off from that point on to the finish, which I won that swim. And there was over 1,500,000 people on the beach when we came in there. It was
how many?
Crazy. 1,500,000. The same thing in South America in Mar del Plata. When we finished that 32-mile swim in Mar del Plata, we jumped in the ocean at midnight there too. And it was supposed to take 12 hours, but it took 17 hours and 32 minutes. I finished in a tie heat with Abu Hif, the crocodile of the Nile. Yeah, Abu Hif. And
you didn't have to pay extra for the other 5 hours, did you? They were free.
They were free for them. I put it on their tab.
and was the tie with Abu Hif? Did you have a discussion 1 mile from the end, or was it just you both went for it? And it was a tie.
What happens is, once they pick up your rhythm, like Abu Hif, he's that type of swimmer that if he gets beside you and he picks up your stroke, you just can't get away from him. He'll stay with you no matter what. So there wasn't much I could do. 17 hours and 32 minutes. There's no way I could swim faster. I was at the end of my capacity of what I could do. So that was an awesome night too. The presentation at the casino, where there was a platform going out into the audience, and they had these girls demonstrating their fashion of what's the latest in bathing suits, and then after that, in the middle of that, then they give us our purse and trophies, and it just went on. It was great.
There aren't too many swimmers that tied the Nile Crocodile in their career.
Ooh, I did it a couple of times with him. I did it also in Lake St. John. When he got on you, you just couldn't get away. And the Egyptians, they would swim as a team. Like, for instance, there was Abu Hif, there was Shousley, another fellow, and they would hook onto you, and sometimes there was some real rough swimming in there, like elbows. And I used to complain to the organizer. I said, "Isn't the lake big enough that we have to swim on top of each other?" But they knew that I was from the area, and they knew that I had the guides from Point Bleu, the Indians. They knew who to hook onto,
They stuck with the otter.
Yeah. They say, we're going to stay with that guy.
We're inducting Captain Nabil El Shousley in a couple of weeks. His son did his introduction because his son's already an honoree. A very proud son.
Okay, well, that's Shousley, the father, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nabil.
I also tied with him in Lake St. John one year. I think for second place or third place. I can't remember there.
Did I hear a story that you beat Tarzan in a race at one point? Johnny Weissmuller.
Johnny Weissmuller, the story there is that my wife wrote him a letter if he could be in my boat in Weissmuller, Mexico. And that letter, for some reason, got lost. So, of course, he wasn't in my boat. But later on, I met him at the Swimming Hall of Fame. And I said, he says, yes. He says, I apologize for that. He says, we finally got the letter. And he says, it would have been my pleasure to be there. And I got friendly with him. We became very good friends. And he said, I would like to go and see some of those swims and be there. So I said, leave it up to me. At the Hamilton swim, the following year, I mentioned it to the organizers, and they got in contact with his business manager, and he came to Canada at the Hamilton swim. And then he also came to the crossing of Lake St. John. So I knew Tarzan. I knew Johnny Weissmuller. A great guy.
Did he swim with you?
No.
Did he get in and train, do a mile or 200 meters or no?
No. He was on the finish line, welcoming us at the finish line. So
okay, fantastic.
It was great, because who didn't see the Johnny Weissmuller movies? The Tarzan, the famous Tarzan, at the time. I mean, I was a little boy. I can remember going to the theaters. It was like, I think it was 15 cents. You could get into the theater to see these movies. And they would always cut the sequence when he's on a vine, and the vine would break or something. And then, next week, so they wouldn't show the whole film there. So I saw but it goes to show you. Here I'm a little boy watching this Tarzan in the movies, and I end up meeting him. We became friends.
Who were your toughest competitors in the open water?
Oh my gosh. Abu Heef was one. Herman Willemse, definitely Herman. They didn't call him the Flying Dutchman for nothing. He won almost everything on the circuit. But you know what? He was scared of the Argentine. Horatio Iglesias.
Yeah.
So when I went to South America and I met Iglesias, I asked him, I said, would you like to be my partner in the 24 hours of La Tuque? He says, there's a swim 24 hours? I says, yeah. Well, he says, Herman never told me about that. Well, I said, Herman's teaming up with Judith Denise, because that year they gave a special prize for two from the same country, So he switched partner. I had twice with Herman as a partner, and I couldn't imagine who could I get. But then when I saw Iglesias, and he won the South America swim, where I tied with Abu Heef, he agreed. I brought the entry form with me, and he signed his name, and so he was my partner. But when Willemse saw him, he just, he was scared of him. He knew what Iglesias could do. Matter of fact, he won the crossing of Lake St. John that year. Willemse came in second. He didn't win Lake St. John, and I think I came in third. So it was 1, 2, 3. So I was always on, mostly in the top three in Lake St. John. But
many of our honorees have great stories of Latuc.
oh,
You have 3 o'clock in the morning, you're supposed to do 2 laps, and you've done 2 laps, and your partner is sleeping available for 4 or something. Did you have any of these sort of late night surprises?
Not surprises, more or less like would have to do 2 more laps, you know. You got to be, if you remember, I don't know if you know what Latuc looks like, you know, it's almost like a theater. The lake is in the middle of the town. And in the middle of the lake, they have this huge fountain, but the water is being pumped regularly. It's not a hot water swim, it's a cold water swim. It's very cold. So when you get out of there and you get into the little tent that you have and trying to warm up to get back into the water, you know, it was pretty hard. And in my case, I had good partners. They had their work to do, and I had my work to do. So I didn't have to do more laps. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Wait, I'm trying to think. It was Margaret Park told a great story, not about Latuc, but about the expo in Montreal, where she had a partner who disappeared at 12 hours in or something.
Oh,
she finished. Yeah, Margaret. She finished the swim. And then the guy showed up to collect his part of the prize money.
I had the same thing. That was at Parc Andrion in the city of Montreal, Man of the World. Yeah. And I had Tom Busey, and he couldn't finish the swim. He had something happen to him, and I had to do it. I had to finish myself. Also, the same thing happened with Abu Hif. He had Julius Carvalho from Italy, which again, Giulio couldn't get back in the water.
So do the cold water.
So we were doing it by ourselves, you know. We finished that swim by ourselves, yeah, without our teammate.
Who were your closest friends in the circuit? Who were the swimmers you had the best relations with?
They were all my friends. I didn't have no problems with any of them. And the water was something else. You know, outside the water, we were all, friendly. Of course, everybody, needled each other. I'm going to get you, I'm going to be the champ. No, you think you're going to be the champ. I'm going to be the champ. It just went on.
And you swam Lake Saint Jean 15 times, or some incredible number.
Yeah.
What was the closest you came to getting out?
It never entered my mind. I can tell you a little short story real quick.
Please.
I've had open heart surgery. I've had 6 bypass. And I also have a pacer. But when I went into the operation room, I says, I'm leaving from Peribonka and I'm coming out at Rubber Bar. And I did it. I pulled through. Because, a lot of these operations are a success, but the patient gives up on the table. The doctor told me that. I said, I'm not giving up. Yeah, that made headlines back home, because in Canada, you get on the waiting list to get an operation, and I had to wait like maybe a year. I would have been dead. So my wife brought me into the emergency, and the doctor said, "Would you be ready for Monday morning?" I said, "Sure." And I went in like that and came out.
We've heard some great stories from honorees over the last year, but Steve, I'm gonna remember this one of as they were putting the gas on him for the operation. He's thinking, this is just a Lake Saint Jean swim. I'll get to the other end. This is fantastic. Tell us about your swimming business.
Yep. So eventually I opened up a swim school, and I had different swimming products out on the market, like the backflow, the swimmies, the pool play, all swimming aids, which was because I had such a demand, at the swim school. So I had to find a way to be able to get these kids going at a faster rate. And I think the figure is about 2,500,000 swimming lessons that I gave at the swim school. And it's still being well known, Had a lot of fun at that school. I miss it.
And tell us about the younger generation of Canadian marathon swimmers. Who came for you to advice, how you helped them, what your involvement was?
Well, they would come to me and ask me what type of body grease do you put on? So I would have a mixture of lanolin, Vaseline, with another product called Finalgon. It's a very, very hot product. And I would dilute it in the microwave, would be almost like water, and mix it well, and let it stand. I would do it for them. They would come in, and I said, bring me a jar of Vaseline, a jar of lanolin, and this tube of Finalgon. I said, don't put it all over your body. Just put it in the front part because you want the sun on your back. It's the front part that you got to protect.
We had some honorees tell us their wives nearly killed them after they cooked that stuff in the microwave in the best china. Did you ever make that mistake?
Ooh, no. What did he do?
They would put it in their wife's favorite bowl and put it in the microwave, all that grease, and cook it up. And they need to take a trip to get out of there for a while.
No, it was okay.
You also gave a number of speeches as a very famous sports personality from Quebec. Tell us about your talks, what your themes were, the kinds of groups that engaged you.
Really, well, the end, from the beginning to the end, is to stay focused. If you're focused, you'll be a success, no matter in what type of business. If you have a plan, like I had a plan, my plan was to open up a swim school and then develop swimming products. And I was very, very, very focused. I mean, 7 days a week. I had my swim school. I would have sometimes on the weekends, maybe 500-600 students that would pass through. I mean, that's how busy I was. So I really didn't see the time go by, for at least 47 years, if not more. I just went.
And you also found time to write a book along the way. What did you learn writing the book? Were you thinking about it, all of a sudden things came to you and said, now it makes sense?
You know what happened? Every time I would go into a swim throughout the world, I would come back and tell my wife a little story, about the swim, how did it go, this and that, whatever went on. And she would take notes. So that's how the book eventually got written. But also, the main part of the book, again, is to fulfill your dreams, is that you're going to be able to focus, get to that point, and go on to success. Live the American dream. I live the Canadian dream, but also part of the American dream,
When marathon became part of the Olympics, did you sit there and think, in your day, would it have been like to stand up next to Abouif and Carlos Laria and Tom Park on your same team, maybe Herman Vilmsy?
It would have been awesome.
And it would have been less than 3 hours, not 17.
But it's still, again, it's still thanks to us that it became a Olympic sport, that they opened it up in the Olympics. So, I'm glad that it's there.
There are many people who have a part of the credit for the sport getting into the Olympics. Steve Munatonis is one of them. We've got 3 honorees that helped design the 10-kilometer course, and even going back to the Catalina race in 1960 or 64.
Georgian.
No, he was in the 20s.
Oh,
But they did one in the early 60s in front of the IOC. And they had another race from Catalina where about 8 people finished.
wow.
Now maybe it's early 70s. But there's a lot of people who had a part in this, and certainly your generation was one of the glamour generations of marathon swimming, with these incredibly popular, well-paid events. With great media coverage. So thank you very much for your contribution to that.
Thank you.
And my last question for you is, you inspired us last year. You contacted us and you said, look, I've got all of these sort of trophies sitting around. They're made of real silver, and they're real trophies. They're not the kind of plastic things that a lot of people get today. And you offered to donate them to the Hall of Fame Museum down in Florida. Tell us why. Tell us what your thinking is.
Well, my thinking is it goes to the first trophy I won. I got those. So, you could show the first ones going to, I got like hundreds of them. But the silver ones, the big ones from, especially the ones from the crossing Lake St. John, that's pure silver. That's the same thing as the golf tournament that you see them with these beautiful cups. Well, I have the same thing. I have the same type of trophies. And I think it would be an inspiration for the youngsters or whoever goes visit the Hall of Fame and look at these trophies and say, well, yeah, you start with this, but you earn that trophy. It's not everybody gets a trophy. You're competing to get first place, second place, third place, and then you work your way up to that first place. And I think it would be great. It would be a nice place for it to be.
So thank you very much for your generosity. For people who have not been to the Hall of Fame Museum in Florida, you go there and things you have in your head, but you didn't remember, come back to you. And whether it's the video of Gertrude Ederle in New York after she swam the Channel, or whether it's an old swimming costume worn by somebody, and it's diving and it's swimming and it's synchronized swimming and there's marathon. And you of course are represented on the Sea Goddess Trophy with the names of all the honorees. So Régent, I want to thank you so much for making the time for us today. Tomorrow is your 86th birthday, so we want to wish you a happy birthday. I don't know about Herman Wilmsy being afraid of somebody, but if I was in the 86 to 90 Masters swim group and you got on the blocks next to me, I would not be looking forward to that swim.
I had some good swim with Herman. One of his last swims with me was in the 10 miles at Three Rivers, where I beat him. And, because this guy was hard to beat. He won everything that he went into, but I got him there. I got him at the Three Rivers and Lake St. John also. So a good competitor, a very strong. They didn't call him the Flying Dutchman for nothing. Yeah. He was great.
So thank you very much again.
Thank you.